Video games and violence. There has been this debate basically since video games were invented, and I, as well as many others, thought this debate was mostly over, aside from the few people here and there. But an Illinois lawmaker thinks that video games indeed do cause violence. Now, I know almost everyone has already talked about this, so I'm just going to talk about the broader subject here. But before anyone calls me biased, I am a quote-unquote gamer, so if that really makes you think my opinion doesn't matter, then you can leave. But I implore you to stay, because it can always be useful to listen to the other side, even if you don't necessarily agree with them. Because at least you can hopefully find some common ground, and find that you truly have more in common than different. I do seek the truth in life, and if you, like me, want to find the truth, it can be beneficial to listen to everyone's point of view, because you will be more informed about the subject as a whole. Now, people seem quick to blame X political party for this problem, but I'm not here to do that. Both Biden and Trump aren't exactly the biggest fans of video games, so this won't really be a left-right divide anyway. All I'm here to do is tell you about the history of this topic and what I think about it. Anyway, I'm Art of Legends, and let's get straight into today's video. Now for a little history lesson. Video games causing violence was first brought up during 1976 with a game called Death Race, where you drove around a car and killed anything blocking your path. There was public outcry, and many wanted the game banned. After a good while, Mortal Kombat came out in 1992. It was a lot more graphic than Death Race simply because it actually looked like people. It had about as much violence as an R-rated movie. Because of games like Mortal Kombat and also Night Trap, which is basically just a playable campy horror movie, the ESRB was created. Now, I have nothing against the ESRB. I don't think all 7-year-olds should just be playing GTA 5 or anything, but I do think that it's fundamentally flawed. It, like the MPAA, does not take into account that kids have different maturity levels. Some 12-year-olds might be as mature as some 15-year-olds, for example. Now, I know the ESRB can't just say 18 plus, but 12 plus if your child is super mature or anything, but it does treat itself like there can be no exceptions. And don't get me started with Jack Thompson. If you don't know who Jack Thompson is, he is a large reason some people still think violence in video games cause violence in real life, as well as other less prominent figures who I won't name. Although people still had many doubts before Jack Thompson, he made people more scared. If he wasn't around, there's a good chance we would be past this debate by now. Even though researchers have not found any connection between violent video games and violent behavior, people still believe video games cause violence. Well, newsflash, it's not the video games that cause violence, it's the people. Don't blame an inanimate object for something it has no control over. Don't make the many suffer for the few. Now, if you couldn't tell by now, I don't think video games cause violence. I think the studies that have found video games linked to violence are fundamentally flawed, and that we should be past this debate by now. But some people keep living in the past. We know more than we ever did about the effects that video games have to the mind. People who commit heinous crimes don't do it because of video games, they do it because they're mentally unhealthy. If parents don't want their children to become murderers, then teach your kids some principles. Now, I'm not saying that it's that simple, but it certainly does help. It's easy to blame video games on the bigger issue. Now, I know parents can't choose if their kids have mental health issues, but if they see that their children do, get them help. One sign of this might be if they needlessly harm animals for no other reason than their own enjoyment. Don't just blame video games on things you should be doing. And if you think you might be mentally unstable, you need to be the one who gets help. It's better to go to a doctor to try to get better instead of committing a crime. We all can use a little self-reflection in life, and we all need to be responsible for our own actions instead of blaming others for our failings. It may be easier to blame others than ourselves, but admitting you have a problem is the first step to getting better. No one is perfect, but that doesn't mean we can't all be better people. Now, I know it may be difficult to be self-critical, especially when people tell you it's never your fault, but even if you are dealt a bad hand in life, you still have control over what you do with it. Obviously, someone born with $1 billion in their pocket will have life much easier than someone who was born homeless. But the person with $1 billion could lose it all to a stupid decision, and a homeless person could get $1 billion from a smart decision. Now, while that's unlikely to happen, I still think it's a good analogy. Make the best of what you have, or you might fail to see the good things you have in your life. If you are poor, but your parents still love each other, be grateful your parents aren't divorced. And if your parents are divorced, but you are wealthy, be grateful you're not poor. No one lives a perfect life, and it's human nature to think of the negatives of life. But if you only think of the negatives, you'll never truly enjoy it until it's too late. I have a lot to be grateful for, probably more than a lot of people. Even though I'm not rich, I'm far from poor, and my parents aren't divorced, so I have that going for me too. I have a good education, and life seems to be looking good for me. But I don't look at my life and say I don't have enough money, or I can't find an RTX 3080 for a good price because I still have a good PC with an RTX 2080, even if I can't play Cyberpunk 2077 to max. And I don't need my channel to have 1 million subscribers, even though that would be nice. But even though life isn't perfect, I'm grateful I am where I am today. Unless you're in the slums of Africa, in which case, how are you able to watch this video? You should be grateful you're not at the bottom of the bottom, instead of being mad that you're not at the top of the top. If you take anything from this video, take that life is only however good you make it out to be, so make the most of it, or else you might regret it when it's too late. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe if you want to see more of my content in the future. Please let me know if you like this type of content. I'm trying to make something people can enjoy, so if you can leave advice in the comments, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm always open to constructive criticism, so feel free to tell me what I could have done differently, because I do seek improvement, and I always want to be a better person in my life. I'm not that well-rounded in doing videos like this, so I will take any advice I can get to improve. Have a great day, and see you next time.